on to celebrating those who are doing good. Welcome back to Doing Good, where we celebrate those who are doing good, specifically volunteers and their nonprofits. Today's episode is part 2 of our series featuring the 37208 Fund, and we have 2 remarkable guests whose work embodies the power of reparative justice, radical trust, and community-centered healing. Their organizations serve different communities in different ways, yet both share the priorities of Black women and families, building economic mobility through skill and ownership, healing through creativity and community care, and trusting grassroots wisdom over top-down mandates. Together, they represent the future of community development. So now, let's find out more. Shawna and Dr. Lister, welcome to Doing Good. If it's okay with you, we'd love to start by understanding how your 2 very different paths led to this shared mission of justice and community healing. Dr. Lister, let's start with you. You, as I understand it, you're a maternal fetal medicine specialist working levels of clinical care. You have a passion and you have all of this incredible goodness going on, and at the same time, you have a passion for homelessness. How do these 2 worlds connect for you?
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. So, as you mentioned, I'm a specialist in high risk pregnancies. So, what that means is if a mom has complications such as diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, asthma, autoimmune disease, and any number of other things, I am your woman to take care of her. And then if there's any issues with the baby, with the developing baby, such as congenital um, heart disease or any other congenital anomalies, then we coordinate care for that patient. One of the things that realized while practicing high risk obstetrics is that a lot of pregnancy outcomes are directly related to a mom's social environment and that social safety net. So there's a lot of times a presumption that she has a place to live and food to eat and transportation in which to get to her appointments. And that's not always the case. And that can certainly impact the care that we want to deliver for her and her ability to access that care. So, in going, throughout caring for the holistic needs of patients, it was compelling to me that if we really want to take the best care of our patients, we have to have a appreciation and understanding of how the social, health-related social needs can impact her perinatal outcomes or her pregnancy outcomes.
Did you see some of those, I'll say, come out more for the women who are homeless?
Oh, absolutely. So, I have been on service at the hospital, and it's difficult to discharge a patient from the hospital if she has nowhere to go. One particular patient illustrates how homelessness led to really poor health outcomes for her. So, she was 36 weeks pregnant. She presented in preterm labor, and earlier in her pregnancy, she had been hospitalized because of a bad abscess in her thigh from IV drug use. And unfortunately, even while she was treated with antibiotics, while in the hospital, she eventually was discharged from the hospital. She was not able to get the care that she needed because she was pretty much didn't have a home, did not have ability to care for her wound. And that infection eventually got out of control and led to preterm labor, you know. So now, we have that is just one example. Homelessness in general, women who are homeless and pregnant are more likely to have preterm labor, preeclampsia. They're less likely to be able to access um, prenatal care. So they use the emergency room, during crisis periods during their pregnancy. And all of this constellation of, lack of access to housing resources directly affects not only her, but her baby. Um, in addition, infants that are in unstable housing situations are more likely to have sleep related deaths because there's no safe place in which for the baby to sleep. So we see that a lot with overcrowding, where there's, many people, more than the capacity of a house. So then mom, who might be couch surfing, um, may not have a safe place for her baby to sleep, and that can lead to suffocation and other sleep related deaths. So from that standpoint, um, a house is just as important as the medicine that I can prescribe a mom, in terms of pregnancy outcomes for her and her baby.
Oh my goodness, thank you for educating us. This is wild, all that you're revealing to us. Thank you. But Shawna, I want to get to you for a minute. Could you tell us about your role as fund administrator for the 37208 fund and what you most enjoy about this work called participatory grant making?
Thank you, Megan. Well, my role as the fund administrator for the 37208 fund, it's to find out where those gaps are in the community and to try to fill them. As Dr. Lister was stating, in the 37208 community, there are high numbers of mothers that live without homes that are in need of maternal care. So, meeting people like Dr. Lister, who has a passion for communities and who has a passion for the work that she does, that's what my job is all about, connecting those dots. Connecting those dots in the community to help people to flourish and live a better life in the community, which leads to a better community because everybody has all of their essential needs met.
Absolutely. Well, Shauna, for the listeners who are unfamiliar with participatory grant making, could you explain a little bit more about how the 37208 fund works and why it's described as reparative justice in action?
I would love to. So, participatory grant making is basically when the community makes decisions about what is going on in the community. All right. The 37208 fund is made up of community members who live, work, worship, or serve in that specific 37208 zip code. So our committee are in the community and they see firsthand what is needed and those gaps. So participatory grant making is so important, and the basis of it is to build a stronger community, to help a lot of times disinvested communities, disenfranchised communities, and communities that have been harmed by systems. The participatory grant making puts the power back into the community's hand. So that's why this particular fund was so important. In 2019, the Brookings Institute, their research, what they found out was that the 37208 community had the highest incarcerated of anywhere per capita per square mile in the United States. So you have this small section of the city, but nearly half of the men between 18 and 24 are incarcerated. So it left a
Wow.
really big hole. Yeah, it left a really big hole in the community where we lost our fathers, we lost brothers, we lost uncles, right? That care for the community, that protect the community. So the 37208 fund was created to directly affect that particular statistic. So a few years back in 2020, they had a really big community meeting. And what they found out was the 37208 zip code was not void of love. It wasn't void of good things. What it was just getting a bad rap by a statistic, right? And so what we decided to do was to search for those quiet, consistent acts of love that the community members have been putting on themselves, like for years, to fund and to establish a community. And so the fund decided, what would it look like if Uncles and pastors and teachers did not have to fund these projects from their own pocket, but they had funds to actually flourish, fund the projects, help them to flourish, and to keep the projects going. So that is the goal of the 37208 fund.
Amazing. And a little bird told me that you might have funded a project by Dr. Lister.
We have been able to fund two of Dr. Lister's just amazing projects, and the things that how she's really just helping the community. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm just delighted, and I feel so blessed to be able to know her and the work that she's doing.
If I may, I would like to kind of describe the projects that the 37208 Fund um, granted us. And um, it the first one was a celebration of Black motherhood. And that directly intersects with um, hospitals and communities coming together, silo busting, so that that there's not um, this hierarchy. A lot of times people think of big academic centers as like in ivory towers. And there's a lot of mistrust between the Black and Brown pregnant community and hospitals, and the health establishment. So, one of the things that is pretty well reported and pretty well known and hits deep at my heart is the fact that Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy related causes compared to Caucasian mothers. And any death is too many. One death is too many. But a lot of the maternal deaths are preventable. Um, Almost 80% are preventable. And one of the things that we realize is that because of those statistics, that whenever you kind of have a conversation about Black maternal health, it can become really dark and devoid of hope for our Black and Brown mothers. Um, the reality is, and one of the things that we wanted to highlight at the celebration of Black motherhood was that um, women can survive and thrive. The majority of mothers actually survive their pregnancies and do well. So we wanted to elevate those stories and and celebrate the courage and the beauty of motherhood. So we had a sisterhood panel discussion where we talked about how to have a healthy birth. We partnered with Mother to Mother that helped us distribute over $70,000 worth of baby items, car seats, strollers, diapers, pack and plays, to the sleep related issues that we mentioned earlier. And we had about 40 or so community exhibitors that ran the gamut of maternal health services. And this was done in tandem with Meharry, right there on at the Cal Turner Center. We had over 300 attendees, and we were able to support moms both tangibly with our gift giveaways, but even more importantly, with the education and an empowered knowledge. One of the moms got her blood pressure evaluated there, discovered it was high, went to the hospital, and ended up delivering her baby early because of preeclampsia. And she credits that event with saving her life. So that the 37208 fund afforded us the ability to put that program on. We celebrated the mothers. We gave them all. We handmade floral crowns for each of our moms because we wanted to really celebrate their beauty and their courage, and they just wanted them to feel like the queens that they were. That was just the beginning. We have held that event every year since then and have expanded it to all of our moms. And then the second um, grant that we were able to receive was to promote economic mobility for the moms in our Bloom program using a farm stand. So we teach moms in the 37208 zip code how to grow and arrange flowers. And we have, or um, we actually sell the flowers, and uh, the mothers that um, are able to earn a wage, um, should they, sign on with us to build, bouquet and arrangements. So the 37208 fund is allowing us to renovate our farm stand, so that we can have a conduit to generate revenue for the nonprofit, as well as support the economic um, upward mobility and hiring some of the moms that are trying to create a better life for themselves and their babies.
That's beautiful. So beautiful in so many ways. Now, could you explain to us the symbolism maybe of the flower and why it's called Bloom?
Yes. So Bloom stands for Building Life Opportunities and Options for Mothers. And so it is our mission is to create a pathway to home ownership for previously um, homeless mothers or postpartum mothers. Um, the opportunities and options are really are centered around building a you know collaborating with other services such as bank realtors. We help with readiness. We partner with banks, particularly Pinnacle Bank, um, who does financial literacy classes for our mothers. And there's wraparound services that we offer to our moms. And the goal is to help them to transition to independence. Um, the the symbolism and the correlation with flowers is just like when you plant a seed and you provide the appropriate conditions, the soil, the sunshine, the rain, that eventually that flower will turn into a seedling and will grow, and bloom into a beautiful flower. So that's what we want to have for our moms. We want them to bloom into their highest potential, so that they have create a better life for themselves. And we know that stabilizing moms economically will uh, um, yield the outcome that we desire, which is generational wealth building for her and her family. So when we think about what a flower is, that's what we want to see for our mothers.
That is outstanding. Thank you for explaining that to us. Um, and it's hard to believe it, Knit. I would think sometimes that just a small grant could grow into a whole organization and impact so many people. And it's not just the women, it's their children, it's the people who love them, it's the entire community. Um, so, Shawna, from what I understand in our podcast producers' research, you have the 37208 fund has awarded over $335,000 to over 49 grassroots projects. What kinds of bold or maybe creative solutions has the fund supported, and what makes a project stand out to the committee that you previously mentioned?
Wow. Yes, it's really hard to believe when you say those numbers that we've actually done that. And by the end of this year, we hope it'll be up to 450,000 into the community. So we are moving. But one thing about our projects and about the people that we fund that is of the utmost importance to the committee is that puts the community on a pedestal. So we do not fund projects that are like, if you're starting a business, we don't fund that. We fund, or equipment or anything like that. We fund projects that are specifically community focused. And so that is really what our committee looks for. Like, how is this going to impact the community? Which part of the community will it impact? And is it something that's going to further them in their life's journey, you know? And so that's kind of what we look at. The 37208 fund, it's always amazing when you hear those numbers, because it doesn't feel like we funded, that many. Each project that we fund is special, it's different, and it's unique, into its own personal mission. We have funded any and everything that happens in the 37208 community. We funded back to school drives, we funded cooking classes, financial literacy, songwriting camps. Have funded schools. They have like community rooms that are specifically for those that are, I guess, are needing some extra help in school. So they have specific rooms that are set up for those kids and those families to come in and shop, almost like a community, like a food pantry or community pantry. So we fund things like that for schools. We've given scholarships away to TSU students, which TSU is right in the neighborhood. And so we've done just so many different things that it's hard to name them all. But what I will say is that each and every one, the person behind the project definitely has a heart for the community. And so that's really what the committee looks for, is the heart and the intent speaking through the application.
I love that, and I appreciate that, because that's so hard to
Yeah.
scale, and it's hard to measure. But you have absolutely figured out how to do this, which is incredible. So you've already
Yeah.
proven yourselves through the 37208 fund. Now, now that you have this incredible foundation, what do you hope for the next phase to be? Like, what do you foresee for the vision for the 37208 fund moving forward?
So the vision for the 37208 fund moving forward is really to be that staple in the community that people can come and connect with us when they need help. What we really do is support the community in any way that we can. So going forward, what we would like to do is to partner with more foundations to focus our funding in certain areas, as well as to have more involvement in the community, and to keep looking forward into the community's needs and what they're gonna need in the future. With so many changes that are happening in our city, uh, we just want to make sure that nobody is left behind and everybody has an opportunity and a path to create success for their lives.
Incredible. I love it. And speaking of success with Dr. Lister and Bloom, um, I understand you recently had a ribbon cutting for a house, and you're housing people, and you have more to go. So what's going on right now, and what is the future going to hold for Bloom?
Yes, we were able to purchase our first home in Jolton, which is about 25 minutes from Nashville, and we're able to house 3 women. So far, we've assisted 4 women with housing, and we recently have received our finalized contract from Metro for the Barnes Fund. We were able to obtain $750,000 to build a second house on the property. We'll be able to double our capacity for an additional 4 women. And I think our ultimate goal is to have a village of houses, and maybe not there, but yeah, in another part of town that will where moms can um, um, rent to own and understand, what is involved with being a homeowner, wanting them to be successful, equipping them with all of the tools and skills and knowledge to be a successful homeowner. And that may take, a few years, but we want them to know that they will have a community that is around them that will support them in their goals for upward economic mobility for herself and her family. The property is situated on 5 acres, so we actually have a flower farm on the property as well. So that serves as just a beautiful backdrop where the mothers can enjoy the gardens and the flowers, as well as that will be the site where we have the drive-through farm stand. So we're hoping to open that up in the springtime. We were able to get a grant from the Metro Art um, for to do a mural on the farm stand. So we're partnering with the muralists in the city, and we're going to have a community painting day where we, talk about flowers as art and really elevate the farm stand as a symbol of what can be, done when the community comes together to support it.
Outstanding. Oh my goodness. I love it. Both of you and all the, I'll say, ripples of impact you're having throughout your community of the 37208 fund and the 37208 zip code. But frankly, it sounds like it can go beyond. Like it's wild. I'm so glad you said that. Metro Nashville Arts Commission is incredible and they support artists who are local and especially if they're doing local things. Isn't that a concept? I love it. So, for for each of you, Dr. Lister, since uh we have your farm and the flower garden fresh in our minds, how should our viewers and listeners get in touch with Bloom in order, if they want to learn more, maybe share your services with someone they love, or just support you in your work? How can they do that?
Yes, so we have a website, www.momblooms.org. On that website, you can find out more about the services that we offer. If you are in need of housing, there is an application on our website, as well as a link, an inquiry form if you want to book Bloom to do your next wedding, special event. Um, we will also we also have an Instagram called mom_blooms, and that gives you the day-to-day um, interactions that we have. We do a weekly group session with the Bloom participants that currently reside at Mending Hearts, which is another amazing pillar in the community. Trina Frierson, we do a weekly group class with those moms and babies, and they learn how to grow, arrange flowers. We do resume building, job readiness. We kind of do the programming of Bloom for those mothers. Um, um, and then we have a Facebook page called Bloom Building Life Opportunities and Options for Mothers. Um, so feel free to reach out for if you're in need of services, as well as if you would like to hire Bloom for your next special event. We operate as Farmer Floors, and we can carry out whatever you need for your special event. And all of those proceeds go to support our mission.
Perfect. Great. And thank you for that. Now, Shawna, would you share with us how the viewers and listeners can learn more about the 37208 Fund?
Sure, I would love to, but let me give a shout out to the Metro Arts because they are terrific, and they're also partnering with the 37208 Fund. For next year, we'll be rolling out a collaboration called the 37208 Art Zone, where we will be funding specifically different art projects that are happening in 37208, courtesy of our partnership with Metro Arts. So they are definitely wonderful, and we definitely love having them in the community. The 37208 Fund, if you want to learn more about it, you can always reach us on our Instagram, which is the 37208 Fund or the 37208 Fund, as well as Facebook. It's the same thing, the 37208 Fund. And our website is 37208fund.com.
Perfect. So good. Oh my goodness. I hope people start just trampling over each other to get to y'all. I love it. You make such an impact on people's lives in ways that it sounds like, frankly, they couldn't have even imagined beforehand. So thank you for being that light and the flower. How about that? Thank you for being the flower for all of us so we can watch it bloom and inspire the rest of us to do the same. You have been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Doing Good podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Shawna and Dr. Lister shared with us today that the most transformative work happens when we combine professional expertise with grassroots wisdom, when we lead with healing and creativity, and when we build systems designed for dignity, not dependency. Both of them are planting seeds that will bloom for generations. Until next time, remember, extraordinary impact happens when we trust community healing and build systems worthy of the people they serve. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Doing Good podcast. If you enjoyed our conversation today, we invite you to subscribe or rate us on your favorite podcast platform. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, or YouTube at Doing Good TV. Doing Good is a 501c3 nonprofit. Please donate to support this podcast via the donate button on our website, doinggood.tv. And while you're there, nominate a volunteer you know for us to celebrate on a future episode. Together, let's celebrate those who are doing good.